All right, I hope you can all hear me. If you're here, please go to the chat and just enter your name and say hello and that you can hear me. I see Christy. Thank you, Christy. Can you hear me okay, Christy? Awesome. Hey, I'm not sure what happened with the link. Something got messed up in the send of the email. And if you're having troubles logging in at all, please let me know. I apologize. I'm going to do my best to reply to people that have difficulties logging in with the link that was sent to them. I'm not sure what happened. That's an automated thing that the system does, and I guess there you go, technology. Woohoo! Well, while I'm trying to watch for anyone else who had a problem getting logged in, hi Christine, hi Peggy, I'm trying to keep up here. Hi Larry, who else we got? There's Christy. I hope I'm catching everybody as they're sort of popping in. While I'm going to give it by no fault of anyone else's, including mine, I guess, but for some reason the software for the webinar sent out an invalid link to at least some of you for sure. I'm not sure if it was all of everybody or not, but anyway, the ones that I did see, I sent out an additional link. So hopefully that will catch everybody. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to get started because I know you're all here to talk about the 11 plus ways to make your Zoom webinar and one-on-one virtual meetings awesome. And well, for those that don't know me, my name's Pierre Rattini. I work with MB Buzz, and I wanted to quickly just talk a little bit about the shifting world that we're in and how things have changed so dramatically over these last several months. And I'm not 100% sure, and I'm certainly not here to predict the future, but if I had to be a betting man, and from the people I follow and pay attention to, I certainly, we've all seen a ton of shift for sure in the short term. I have a feeling a lot of these things will become more permanent and more commonplace, and a lot of things that we didn't think we would ever want to do, maybe some of us like and enjoy, some of us probably don't. And I'm not here to comment on if it's good or it's bad. I just kind of know that a lot of things are changing, a lot of things have changed, and some of these things will come back to the norm that we used to know, and some of them won't. And I think some will come back somewhere in between. And I think every client that you're going to work with moving forward will have a different expectation to some degree. Some will love it old school, some will love it and prefer it new school. So that's why I put this webinar together for you all today. I wanted to show you some ways and some things to pay attention to, some tips, some tools, some, if you want to call them tricks, that you could utilize and to make sure that you benefit from this ever-changing world and how to better do virtual and online events. Now, I guess I've heard people can hear me. I heard somebody say it's a little distorted. Everybody else that I've seen said they can hear me. I'm going to log off and rejoin. Okay, Larry, thank you. If you're having any difficulty hearing me, please let me know. Can you also tell me if you're seeing the PowerPoint that I have here? Can everybody see the PowerPoint I have loaded up? If you could let me know if you are or can. Christy says yes. Back on and much better. Awesome, Larry. I'm glad to hear it. Well, perfect. Great. Well, if you can see the PowerPoint, this is where we're going to start. So I'm going to cover the PowerPoint. We're going to go through that first. I'll do a little Q&A at the end of the PowerPoint. You'll find the PowerPoint. We're going to move fairly quickly. And then we'll stop, do a little bit of Q&A right in that particular. No, cannot see the PowerPoint. Phil Pig cannot see the PowerPoint. Joe, when you said yes, were you saying you could see the PowerPoint? Peggy, yes. I don't either. Yes, I can see the PowerPoint. I've got people who can see it. I've got people who can't see it. I'm not sure why that is. That is really weird. Well, I will try and talk you through it. If you can't see it, I might suggest logging out and logging back in I've got more yeses that can see it. I've only got, I think I only see one. Yeah, here, I'll click a page here so you can kind of see it. Can everybody see that second slide I just moved? That's the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint is currently what you should be visualizing. I'm getting a whole bunch of yeses. Okay, cool. All right, well, then we will jump in here. So this is kind of what I wanted to talk about first. You know, we're shifting. I don't know what your work at home experience has been like, but if anyone can't see it, just real quick, just I guess log out and log back in again. Maybe that might clear up your cache or something that might be holding you up. If not, I'll walk you through it and you can just listen in if need be. But basically, this whole thing has just changed. I work from home a tremendous amount, so it wasn't as much a transition for me. But I do remember when I first came and started working from home, and we have a remote team that works all over the place. And trying to learn how to do all that, I had a lot of time to prepare and learn. You all didn't have any time. So my goal here is to teach you some of the things that I know work for me, and I hope to help you all out with that. I got to try and pay attention to, because one of the things I'm going to teach today is how to look into the lens. And so let's jump in. Here we go. Okay, seeing it now. Great, Brenda. I'm glad you were able to get that figured out. The first slide, or the first thing to note with any time you're doing a presentation is make eye contact. It's a lot more intimate versus looking down at your screen, which I tell you, it's hard to remember. I'm doing that right now. I'm looking down. So I don't look as connected versus if I look up here and talk to you as if I'm speaking to the screen. So here's a couple of tips. One is look in the lens. Number two is try to put your, whatever you're going to be talking about right below your camera. So that you are, when you're looking into what you're talking about or talking and using, it's right below the camera. So even if you do look down to catch something, it does at least look like you're looking into the eyes of the person and people you're speaking with. I'm going to try and speak and look into the camera lens as much as possible. Does everybody get the distinction between the intimate versus the disconnect that occurs when I'm looking into the camera versus when I'm looking down lower on the screen? Some people, for example, will have their notes way over here on another screen, and they will get the it'll look like they're kind of talking. All you ever see is the side of their head. Try and put those notes, if you can, right up underneath your camera on your whatever type of computer you're using. Next, I call this avoid the fat multiplier or amplifier. If you haven't been on a lot of Zoom or webinars or stuff, really, you're probably one of the rare people. And I've seen, this is not a pleasant look. One, it doesn't look flattering. Two, I look like I'm a lot, I guess, heavier than I am, versus this where I'm looking straight into the lens like this. This is sort of the equivalent of that kind of shot where you've got your phone here, and a lot of people will hold it down in their lap and they will look down like this. That is not a flattering look, nor a professional look. I think this picture is proof of that. My camera, I have a relatively new camera. It even said when I had it tilted down that way, I was able to capture the words. I didn't add that. It just said raise camera for a better angle. I think the camera knew I didn't look so good either. So can you all relate to that one a little bit? I'm sure you can. So try and always have the camera at eye level or slightly above, so that if you're using your phone, for example, have it like this or just slightly above. This is something I have on my desk. It's just a little tripod. It actually extends. I can stand it up higher, but I put that on my desk, and it's just a hair above my eye line, and I use that to, if I'm recording something into my camera, my phone. So I hope that tip helps you a little bit. Add energy by smiling. I mean, it really does bring energy to the screen. It adds some engagement and lets people know that they are being human with, and you're trying to engage some emotions back and forth. Another way to bring that engagement and emotion is to ask people questions, ask people to comment. So I'm going to try and do one right now. If you had to give your number one tip or the number one, either the number one tip or the number one thing that you've enjoyed in any presentation that you've ever seen done, what was the one thing you would like to share with everybody that you think is a great tip for doing a virtual presentation? Humor? No, great to see you, Beth. Thanks for being here. Humor is definitely a good one. I'll do my best to be funny. What other tips? I mean, what other things can you think of that you've enjoyed in other online virtual presentations, virtual tours, virtual opens, if you've seen any of the ones recently from some other realtors that you know, things like that? What other things have you noticed that you think would be helpful to share with the group? Well, I got humor so far. Well, I'll just keep adding my own until you all decide to participate a little bit more. How's that? All right, cool. So add energy by smiling. It certainly doesn't hurt, because if you're real serious and you're not smiling and et cetera, it's sort of, it's hard for me not to do that because I love doing this. So, but smile, it helps. Avoid backlighting. So where my computer is right here, you can't see it right now, but I actually have two windows right behind my monitor. So I always have light coming in during the daytime anyway, coming in. So it's always light onto my face versus if I was flipped the other way, like you see in this picture right here, where the camera is in front of my face and of course pointing back where the window is behind me, you can see it darkens everything. And my camera adjusted automatically, so it lightened it a little bit, but you can see the difference. I'm sitting in the chair here. All I did was spin the chair around. The only difference here is now the window, of course, is on the opposite side. And you see the difference in the lighting. I didn't touch anything on my phone in either picture, and you can see the difference in how much better a person looks from one side to the other. Window lighting is an issue for sure. Yeah, I totally agree. And Joe, in regards to no background distractions, well, you're obviously brilliant. We'll be covering a little bit of that here shortly. Avoid backlighting. Here's another tip. You kind of saw it. You see it in that picture, but you see this. There's this little thing here at night or during the day, if it's kind of cloudy out or whatever, and I want to get some light on my face so I don't look like I'm old or something. I use this little, as you can see in here, I turn it on, and it's got different, I've got a couple of them. One has 3 settings, one has 6 settings, and some have warmer lights and brighter lights and things like that. But it really helps to put warmness onto your face and makes you look a lot better. And if you want to get a little bit fancier, you can get what's called a ring light. And these come in 8-inch, 10-inch, 14-inch. I've seen 18-inch. I think they come even bigger. This particular one I'm showing here, I just took as a picture off of Amazon. And I believe this version of it, I want to say is about 60 bucks. I think this one, and there's another version that's about 100 to 120 bucks. If you plan on doing more of these, I think it's a super wise investment. There's ones that can hold the camera here, and there's ones that have the camera that can be right inside the ring itself. And they look really, really, really good. They make you look really great. So I highly recommend that. Has anybody actually used a ring light themselves or any of the lighting tool like that and found good results from it? Not yet. Who thinks they will? Not seeing this. If you haven't used it yet, who thinks they will invest in one? By the way, these little ones here aren't much, so you can get them for under 10 bucks, even a lot less than that, depending. And like I said, this is a 60-buck version up to about 100 to 120, and they last a long, long time. If it makes me look better, then hell yes. Well, I'm all for that too, so I'm a hell yes on that one as well, Joe. So I'm glad you shared that. That's the truth right there. Ordered a smaller version, selfie stick, so I can be more mobile while I shoot. I love that, Brittany. I've actually seen a version like that. Let me know how you like the one that you have, and if you do end up really liking it, or if you already know you really like it, if you're comfortable sharing a link to the model that you purchased, I know that would help others as well. So if you do have something like that, let me know. If you just got it and you're not 100% sure yet, no worries. When you do, please send me an email and let me know what you found or what you liked. I will happy to share it with everybody via email or whatever. So so that's the lighting from the lighting is crucial, because I would tell you there's two big things. Well, there's a bunch of big things, but two of the biggest things is you got to sound good and you got to have proper lighting on your face. So if you remove the backlighting problem and you put a little bit of light on your face, or put yourself in a position where if you can't afford the lighting or you don't want to get the lighting, put yourself where the light is coming towards you. Light from above isn't complementary. It's not as bad as light from the back, but it's also kind of puts heavy shadows and stuff and doesn't make you look as fresh and young. So I would definitely recommend the lighting. Yes, I think would be helpful. Okay, waiting on this its arrival, but most deaf. Oh, great, Brittany. So you just ordered it. I misread what you said. Sorry. Well, great. Brittany is going to let us know, and when she does, I will pass it along to everybody. Thanks, Brittany. I appreciate that, and I know everybody else will as well. Framing your shot. I kind of was trying to get a bad shot. If you've been on enough webinars, I'm pretty sure you've all seen a shot like the one on the left, where you're looking up someone's nose, or you've caught their forehead, or they're holding their camera in such a manner that it's constantly moving all over the place. None of that makes you look good. None of that is good. It's very distracting, and makes for little to no real connection or professionalism, in my opinion. So you can get, just so you know, like I don't know how much of this fits in view here, but this little stand here, and it extends these legs. There's 3 connections. This will actually stand 6 feet high, and this little this is a newer. I don't know if you can. Let me try and turn that in a manner that you. Oops, that's the wrong way. Hopefully you can read that. It's a newer. There's different models of this, but these are all different phone holders, and I put mine on top of that so it's stable. It doesn't bounce around. I just sit it on my desk. I don't have to worry about holding it, and it's always just. The irony of this, in its fully closed. Let me get that out. Closed position. It's just above my eye line, so it kind of tilts down towards me. So any double chin stuff, etc., gets reduced slightly. So I'm good with that. If you all know what I mean. So, well, if doing a Zoom, can't you see what the others are? Well, if you're doing a Zoom, can't you see what the others are seeing? I double the light while I look half. I like that. That's awesome. In a Zoom, depending on how the Zoom is set up, if I understand the question, Christine, others can. In a lot of the Zooms I've been on, you're able to see the gallery of everybody, and you can pull up the gallery view, or you can have the scrolling view. I don't know the names of all the different versions, but nonetheless, in that scenario, you can see if those people have their cameras on. I recommend you do. I mean, if you're going to be on a webinar, turn your camera on and allow yourself to get some practice being in front of the camera, and having this just sitting on your desk like that is often how I would do it if I didn't have an additional camera, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a second. Your background. Well, this is, one last thing actually before I go over there. Framing the shot, if you've ever heard the term in camera, I'm not a professional photographer, I just know a few things about it in respect to, they talk about thirds and trying to put your face sort of where your eyes are sort of in the middle of the frame to just slightly above it maybe. You don't want to be like way over here or way over here. You kind of want to be just slightly off center. You kind of want to have your body kind of in the third part up. You don't, dead center doesn't look quite as good as it being about where I've got it right now, for example. So just subtle things like that can make a difference. And of course, having your camera either on your monitor like mine is that you're seeing right here, And by the way, that's actually deemed quite rude to point at you, so I apologize, everybody. But that camera right there allows me to always have that sort of perfect line, and I just adjust it accordingly. So that's framing the shot. In regards to your background, if you've been on enough of these, and if you've seen stuff posted on Facebook and different places, I'm sure you've run into a few, let's just say, unusual backgrounds and movement and things that are occurring. I'm not going to get into all the details, but I did this on purpose, obviously. But you know, some people may not notice it right away, but like this just doesn't look flattering nor professional. And this other shot here on the right is with I have a green screen behind me right now. You can kind of see if I pull my chair out of the way here, you can kind of see the edge of it right there. So I'm just going to turn this a little bit just to catch a different angle there. But I don't always have the green screen by any stretch. All I do recommend though is whatever is in your background, make sure it's tidy, it's neat, as uncluttered as you can possibly get it. If you want to have a green screen like this, you can. It allows you to do some other things in Zoom, for example. You can substitute backgrounds, or you can just film yourself. If in your office there's a blank wall behind you, that will work. Things like that. But these are all things that you can do to clean up and make the background be something that's a little bit better. See, where did you buy it? I buy almost everything on Amazon. And if you want to know the version of this, I don't remember the name of it, but Jennifer, just send me an email, Pierre@mbuzz.com, and remind me, and I will send you the link to this exact one I got. It's about, if I recall correctly, I believe it's this one right now is sort of sideways, and it can also stand up vertically. I want to say it was just under $100 if I remember correctly, and it's got a green side and a blue side. So, and I use it a lot. So it's real nice to have, and it's real portable. You can put it away real easily and bring it out real easily. So like Jacqueline, my wife, doesn't like this because I'm right now, my office, which I'm at right now, is sort of partially in what we have as our living room in our condo. And I'm okay to bring this out for this kind of stuff, and if I have to do something that was really important, but normally I'll put it in our other room otherwise. So, but it's a great setup, I think. Yeah, I've liked it. And by the way, the nice thing about a green screen like this, with certain softwares that you can utilize, you can totally substitute the background to be whatever you want. So as an example, if you wanted to talk about a particular property that you just listed, you can have a picture of that property or even a video of that property playing behind you, and you can be at home doing that. And it's just a really cool and actually pretty simple way to make it look like you're in front of that house. People will know you're not, but nonetheless, it gives, you can talk about what's happening behind you as you're standing in front of it, so to speak. So it's a nice effect. So the background matters. I just make sure that even if it's, shining into your living room or whatever it is, that whatever's behind you represents your brand the way you want to be represented. So if you have a very high luxury brand, you got to make sure what behind you reflects that. If you're, and whatever your brand is, just make sure you're brand representative. Okay. I think it's really important. Stop the noise and the distractions. Turn off. So before you start any online anything, turn off all your phones, your ringers, your notifications on your computer. Turn off all your notifications, all your reminders, all that stuff. And if you're a fidgety person, I can be a little bit myself. If you tend to be a fidgety person or you tap a lot or whatever, mute. When you're not talking, mute your audio. There's nothing more annoying, I think, to people that are in a big event when there's somebody eating chips or crunching on cookies or something, and they don't realize that everyone can hear it. And it's very frustrating to people in a group meeting when everybody's participating volume-wise. So it's just really good common courtesy that if you're in an event where there's a bunch of people, that, and you can turn your sound on and off and be a participant or not be a participant. Mute yourself when you're not participating or not talking. And that way you can eat your chips nice and quietly and nobody will know the difference, okay? Has anybody else experienced that? Put a 1 in the chat box if you've experienced some really annoying people or noise. That came in quick, Christine. We're getting lots of 1s. Okay, so I'm talking to I'm definitely speaking to a group that's experienced what I've run into. Perfect. Okay, good. All right, well then we'll continue. Look right and dress to match your brand, right? So I'm not a fancy brand in the sense that, you know, I'll wear a jacket occasionally. I rarely wear a tie. I used to be a suit and tie guy. I kind of like not being a suit and tie guy anymore. So I like to wear like a collared shirt or a golf shirt. That's kind of how I represent myself. When people meet me and see me, I'm either in this, a little bit more casual, or maybe in a shirt like this, in a sport coat or something like that, and dress pants. That's about it. I will get fancier for really rare scenarios, but that's me, and that's how I'm comfortable, and that's how I want people to know me. I don't, and if you're somebody whose brand is all about a certain look and a certain feel, you got to make sure that you dress the part. So just recognize that in this new world, if you're going to be doing stuff online, and I believe more and more of us already have, and I think more and more of us will, and our clients, some of them for sure, percentage of them have gotten used to it, like it, and are going to want it, and they're going to want to work with somebody who can be that way. There's going to be clients who prefer old school when we're allowed to go back to mingling, you know, like we used to, I guess. But I think it's always best to be able to meet clients at their level. And so the client that wants to get to know you and is super comfortable doing almost everything or all things virtually, represent your brand as you deem it. So I think that's really, really important. Dress as if you are with your clients. Roberta, I think that is a perfect answer. That's exactly right. So however you would like to look when you meet with your clients, I think that's how you should dress when you're meeting with your clients virtually. I think that's just a really good rule of thumb. I really like the way that's said, Roberta. I think just take everything virtual and do it just like you would if you were in person. No different, just learn a couple of the differences. Obviously, when you're talking to one person, you're always looking them in the eye, right? Here, I have to really focus, to be honest with you. I always tend to look like most of us down at the screen like I'm doing right now. I have to get used to looking right into that camera and stop pointing at you because it makes a much more intimate connection instead of it being a disconnected sort of feel. So, and as I said before, you got to make sure you smile. All right, well, that is the dressing part. And prepare before every single meeting. You'll find that once you do more and more of these, your scripts and your preparation will stay kind of similar, and you'll have similar talking points. But here's some key tips. Like what you see there is 3 pages of what I have for when I do these. Let me just show you. So you'll see that's the first page you see there. There's the second page. This is all from first to second page is before the event even started. And then I've got all my points that I'm covering. I might have got some pages. I got a few pages in the wrong order there, but nonetheless, I prepare before the meeting. I get all my stuff in order. It's ready. I have all my tabs pre-opened so that I don't go and have to go searching for them or try and find them. Now, if you ask me for something I haven't thought of, then I might have to go look for it. But otherwise, if you're having a virtual meeting with a client and you're going to be talking about specific properties that they want to look at or have looked at and they want to talk about them a bit, you know, I would advise you that you have those tabs for those properties open as tabs pre-opened on your browser window so that you can easily open them and share them. Paragon, if that's what you're using, or whatever tools your office uses or you like to use to share that kind of information, having them all pre-opened so you can easily move your way through everything is a real benefit. Another thing I would suggest prior to the meeting is send a little preemptive either email or video email. I'm a big fan of video in every aspect. A video email just saying, your clients, here's what to expect, here's what's coming up. If you have any specific questions, please let me know so I can have all that information ready for you, make the best use of your time, and things like that. I just think setting expectations and trying to make sure you serve your clients' needs the best way possible is very, very helpful. Does anybody have any tips themselves that they've used themselves or would suggest or have heard other people using that they think have worked extremely well in this situation? Does anybody have any tips they'd like to share? And while you're doing that, I'm going to get myself back in the right order here. There we go. There we go. Got that in the right order now. No? Okay. Well, like I said, preparation before the meeting. The first time will probably take the most time. After you do more and more of these, it'll become quicker, and you'll probably get to reuse basically the same or similar notes. You'll just be opening some different tabs based on what your clients want to talk about, etc. Okay. One last slide here, and this is where we're going to transition into sort of we're gonna do something that's really scary to do. We're in a webinar, which is live, and then I'm going to do some live, try and make some connections and share from one place to another during an event. So I tested it a little bit last night. It worked okay last night, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it'll work well for us today as well. But before we move on, this is a good time for some Q&A. So we're right at sort of just a little over the halfway mark. Are there any questions that anybody has about anything we've covered so far, or have any tips or anything they'd like to share with the group? Not seeing anything. So could you put a 7 in the chat box if you're ready to move on to some live demo? 7s. Gee, aren't we quiet? Yes, you are, Beth, and everyone's a little quiet, but look at everybody's putting 7s in. I guess I just want to keep moving. So in respect of time, let's just keep moving. If you have a client who has not used Zoom, how do you give them instructions? That is an absolutely fantastic question, Joe. I'm glad you asked. I love video. I'm not a good typer. I'm not fast at it, and I really find it difficult to explain things, especially like, when you have to describe to somebody, here's how you connect on a Zoom call if they don't know how to do it, for example. I like to record a video, and there's lots of great tools out there. I'm not going to say one is better than the other. You can certainly ask around, but there's things like Drift, Loom, BombBomb, and I wrote some down. I don't have them all on here. Where you can record you on a screen walking somebody through how to log into Zoom, how to open it, and do all that stuff. I think video is the perfect tool for instruction and showing people things and demonstrating things. And so, Joe, I would always do it via a video instruction. And just so you know how much I use it, I use something called Cloud App. There's another one. That's the one I personally use. I don't know if I didn't think to try this. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to go all the way back. 1 second here. Going the wrong way. 1 second here. Let me get to the end. Let's see if this will allow me to do it. I'm going to start Cloud App here and just see if it allows me to do it. This is the tool I use to record all my videos, and I don't know but can you see my screen just lit up? And the way Cloud App works is if you can see this little X, I'm now highlighting this screen, for example. Now, because I'm already recording, I have 2 cameras, so I'm actually recording this during the webinar. I'm looking at this camera that I'm pointing at. This camera over here is another camera I have. They're both identical, and I do that because sometimes I'm trying to record and take different angles of things. But nonetheless, I could, if I hit start here, I don't know if you can see the side here. You probably can't, but I can record and demo and click through stuff and show somebody how to walk through. And this is called Cloud App. If I could, and again, Joe, if you want to know the link to that, I don't own anything in that company or anything like that. It's just an app I've been using for a couple of years. I give all my instructions to our developers, our webmaster, our graphic design people, clients. I almost strictly communicate via video. I just find it easier and quicker and faster. So that was an excellent question. No, can't see the Cloud App. Okay. Christy, sorry about that. I wasn't sure if it would display or not, but come on. Not sure why that won't go forward now. Oh, there we go. Let me go this way. If I'm making you dizzy, I'm making myself dizzy here. I don't know why it's jumping so fast. 1 second, I'll go a little slower. Huh. Well, let's not worry. There we go. Now it's back to normal. Sorry about that. Let me get to this last slide. So I'm a big believer. If you've been to any of my classes, etc., I'm a big believer in that you meet the client where they prefer. And that means prior to all this new stuff, if the person preferred email, preferred a phone call, preferred text, preferred Facebook, however they wanted to communicate with you, that's where you meet them. And I'm a big believer in that. It doesn't mean it stays in that platform, but where they want to start with you, that's where you start with them. And in this new world, and for clients who want all things virtual or most things virtual, and there's going to be a real gamut of people here that are going to be in all areas from old school, nothing virtual, all the way through to completely virtual. There are some tools I'm sure you're all used to. This is not an instruction course on how to do Zoom. I think you've all been on a lot of them, but all the tips and everything I've given to you up until this point, if you do a Zoom call, make sure you have all of these particular things lined up. And I'm just going to move this a little bit over to the left so I can kind of split screens here a little bit. Hopefully I don't mess anything up because I've got to keep a couple things open to do this. So I'm going to go into Zoom here, and I'm going to stop this presentation for a second, and I'm going to share my screen. Let me grab the right application window. Let me know if you can see the Zoom screen. If you could just put a 2 in the chat box if you can see the Zoom screen. I'm circling my mouse over it. Excellent. So I'm just going to show you, there's a lot of ways to do this. I'm just going to show you a very basic way. You can, with video off or with video on. I say with video on. Why not? That way people can see each other. You would open your Zoom meeting. So by the way, just so you know, I'm using the webinar to cast this Zoom meeting. So there's a lot of bandwidth being used up here. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. And if we get a little screech for a minute, I know yesterday when I was testing this, sometimes I had conflict with audio. So bear with me here. I've got to now switch because when it does that, it requires me to, oops, I don't want to do that. I want to grab the other application window now and share that. So I hit that button. So now you should be seeing me up here on the left, which is my main computer. And this is actually the Zoom recording being broadcast live to you. You won't hear. I'm hoping you're not hearing sound twice. Put a 5 in the thing if you only still just hearing one audio. You should only still just be hearing one audio. Okay, good. I was messing around with this last night, and I had a couple times where audio was coming in twice. And have you heard that before, where you get that really weird? No, but lips are not syncing. Well, there's a lot of bandwidth going on here, and that's one of the things that does happen. And I will tell you, I have extremely fast internet where I live. We actually, when the whole thing started happening, I was planning on doing this earlier, but we reached out to Spectrum and we ended up going with a gig of download speed. You don't get quite that, but we got about 750 to 850 meg download, whereas your average is typically around 70 to 100. There's a lot of bandwidth going on right now, but so I apologize for the delay in what you see and the verbiage, or my voice and my lips moving in sync. That is a Zoom. And when you're here, of course, these are all just different things you can do. Remember I talked about muting? Of course, you can't hear my voice right now, but if you're not talking, that's what I mean by muting yourself. If you don't want to share your video, you can click right here and stop the video. If you're not finding the right camera, you can see I got multiple cameras here. I've actually got a third. I'm not going to pull that one out, but I just know this second one is my second Logitech camera. This one is the one that is using for the main webinar. That kind of thing. Chat opens up a little window that you can actually slide around on the screen. I don't know if you can see that, but it opens a separate chat box that you can talk into. You can screen share by clicking this little button here. If you click that, you can pick any one of the screens that you have, from your full screen to all the different tabs that you have available. You just click one, then you hit share, and that's how you share it. Record is how you would record it. I highly recommend you record these for a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, you have a recording that in case anything super important was discussed during that particular call, you have a record of it, that in case anything comes up that somebody said you didn't say that or whatever, it gives you a record of it. Number two, you can see how you are on camera and what you look like, and you can make improvements from watching that. And number three, when you get good at these or you're comfortable doing it, you can share these with whoever you're having a discussion with. If it's something that's meant to be shared with everybody, you can share it on Facebook or through email, etc., and get yourself some additional branding and exposure. So, and then this reaction thing just allows you to, put little clap hands and stuff like that as people are talking. So, any questions on Zoom now that you see it? Is there any questions on how to do one or where you might use one, things like that? I made a little list of ways that I've used it and the ways I've seen a lot of people use it. Now, this is by no means a complete list because it's really only limited by your imagination, I think. But in respect to real estate, I think it can be easily used for one-on-ones between you and your clients. It can be easily used to have you, the client, a mortgage broker. I've seen people use it for closings. Team meetings, if you happen to be a broker in charge, or you're the team lead, or you're on a team, these are great tools for using to do team events, trainings, things like that. Whether you're going to stay remote or not, it's just a great way for people who can't attend. Even if you're doing these in the office, to record them so that if somebody can't be at the meeting, you now have a recorded version of it, so you don't have to do the training again and again and again for multiple people. It's a great time saver. And for events, if you're doing some sort of a client event of some kind that lends well to doing virtually, or just get creative, and most things can become virtual, it's a great tool for that. Let's see what some people said. How do you go online to set up Zoom? Peggy, let's see here. I'm going to end this Zoom here and meeting for all. Yep, I'm going to end that meeting. Let me go back to sharing my screen. I'm going to pick this window, share. Let me know if you see the big Zoom screen in the middle, and you should see a bunch of tabs up here at the top. I just clicked on the Zoom. So when you go to Zoom and you log in, I'm on a free account here, Peggy, and in the free version, don't quote me, but I want to say you can have up to 100 people on a webinar in the free version. I think that's correct. If not, just look it up. But it's plenty. If for most of you, the free version of Zoom is going to handle every bit of what you need. And when you're, so you basically, if I was to, where's the log out here? if I was to sign out here, you would sign up right here, Peggy. Sorry, I just had to make sure I was remembering who I was talking to. Peggy, you would have to sign up right up here where it says sign up. It's free. You click that, you fill in some information, just basically follow through the instructions and you'll get a free account. Okay? And then once you're in there, then the next time you come back in, you sign in just like this. And again, I'm not going to go through all the various ways and different things you can do in here, but the simplest one I know of is just go with video on. You click that, it opens up an event, and that's how you can do it. And if you just Google how to do a Zoom meeting and start a Zoom meeting, there's tons of really simple instructions. This topic has been covered, how to actually set up and do a Zoom. Once you've got logged in, you can find a million great Google videos on it. Or Google, and you'll find a bunch of videos on it. I hope that helped answer your question, Peggy. Great. So cancel. I'm going to log back out of here. Any other questions on Zoom before we move on to the next item? Can I get a 8 in the chat box if you're ready to move on? Christy, yes, a whole bunch of 8s. And there was a question, can you have more than one Zoom account? Yes, I have 2. I just signed up using 2 different email accounts. So I was able to. I would assume that's the case. Yes. Okay, so that's Zoom. Another great tool that I'm a big fan of is Google Hangouts or Google Meet. Google Meet is kind of, I don't know if it'll completely replace Hangouts. I think it's in the plans, but nonetheless, they're basically the same thing. It's basically a webinar platform. Why I like it is it works extremely well on your mobile phone as well. And so it not only does everything I just showed you, or basically everything I just showed you in doing a Zoom, it's also free for, I forget how many people. I want to say it's 25, but don't quote me. But it's more than enough for you and your clients and doing stuff like that and recording things and sharing information. I like it because it's so easy to do with your phone by switching the camera, so you can have it where you start out on the camera at first. And so if I do a Google Hangout between me and my real estate clients that are buyers or sellers, if it's a buyer, I literally can go to a house and walk them through live as we're walking through the house and do a tour with them, no matter where they are in the country. They could be local or they could be anywhere else in the country, and I could literally walk them through the house. I can record it so that not only am I showing them while I'm there, it's all social distancing, it's all super safe. The recording can also be used, if it's your own listing, for example, can be used as something that you can share with others as to what the property is like. Plus, on top of that, you can use your phone. It's a great tool to take short little video snippets of all the main rooms and things like that in the house. And then I'm not going to cover how to do all that today in regards to compiling it all, but there's a lot of really great tools. I'll share a couple if I have time at the end that I really like, that a lot of realtors I think really enjoy too, to compiling that kind of stuff and making an awesome virtual tour to represent your listings that you have for yourself. And if you have buyers, how you can use that to help walk them through a property or record a walkthrough. Even if they're not with you, you can record it and then just send it to them. It's a super excellent way to multiply your time. And making the recording is something, therefore, you can use over and over and over again. All right. And so a Google Hangout, I'm going to, I'm out of that. So I'm going to stop sharing again, and I'm going to switch here. And I'm going to pick up my Google Hangout. In a second, you should see a little Google Hangout screen here, I hope. And I am going to contact myself and my wife in hopes that, so I'm going to say yes on my phone, and Jacqueline has now arrived. So she was kind enough. Oops. 1 second, let me mute my mic. All right. Can you all still hear me? You can? Okay, great. I was a little worried because I'm getting a little feedback in my ear. Are you all getting any feedback? Can you put a no? Okay, good. So one sec, let me switch to the shared view. Share screen, application window. So now this is, you should see me here, and now you see Jacqueline down there, and of course you also see me again. But nonetheless, there's Jack. Hey, babe. Good, how are you? Hey, just out of curiosity, everybody, can you hear Jacqueline when she said that? Fingers crossed? No. Cool. Well, she said, hey, everybody. You got a couple of hi Jacquelines from Beth and a couple other people, I think, if I saw it go by quickly. But anyway, this is a Google Hangout. Babe, thanks so much for being on. Bye. I'll stay on with just me. So that's a way, for example, I could be on a Google Hangout. I could have one of, like a husband and wife, for example, that may not even be able to be in the same room or same place at that time. They can all join separately in one call, and I can have my phone in my hand. This isn't the phone I'm recording on, but I could literally, you know how you switch from your front facing to your back facing camera? So I can start the conversation like this, and then as I'm walking through a house, I can turn the camera and I can start showing things. And then I've done this before, and Jacqueline's done this before, where clients will start, oh, can you show me the kitchen? Can you show me that a little bit better? And it is a super awesome tool, in my opinion, to share this stuff. And anyway, that's kind of the basics of it. And if you want some more detail on, again, you can Google how do you do a Google Hangout or a Google Meet, and it's super simple. No, but hi. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen, and I'm going to log out of that. I'm just looking at the time here. Any questions on Google Hangouts? Put a 4 in the chat box if you're ready to move on, or if you have a question, please put that in the chat box. 4, 16. 4 by 4. Perfect. Okay, moving on. So another option is Facebook Live, and I tested this last night, and although it does do it, whoever sees it on Facebook Live, the sound, of course, doesn't transfer through. But nonetheless, let me close that. I'm going to open. Let me get to the right. Let me get to the right screen here. Apologies, I'm having to switch screens here each time to basically demo this for you. Do you see my my Facebook homepage on your screen? Just give me a 2 in the chat box if you can see it. Summer asked an awesome question. Summer said Google Hangouts is only for, is it Google phones or Gmail? What did it say there? Let me find that. I went way too far. 1 second. I went way too far. 1 second. Sorry, there was a comment, and I want to find it. How do you? So you just download a Google Hangout app. Yeah. If I could find the darn thing. Where'd it go? Thank you for. Where did it go? Google Hangouts is only for Android devices. No, it's not. I've done them with people who have iPhones. I've done them with people who have almost every type of phone. So there is an app that you can download, or if you're a Chrome browser user, typically that makes it really simple. And again, this is one of those scenarios where you meet people where they want to be met. So Google Hangouts is a tool, and if your people are comfortable with it, or you can show them how to use it and you're super comfortable with it, I like it because I'm super comfortable with it. But if my clients didn't like it or just didn't want to go through the process and they wanted to do something using some other tool, I would use that. So there's FaceTime if you're an Apple phone user. I think that's one of the tools that you can do something similar with. In Google, there's Duo, D-U-O. And there's some other tools that you can use. There's a ton of tools that you can use for this, but I hope that answered that question, Summer. Great question. So Facebook, if you can see my screen, I saw some twos. Okay, great. You're welcome, Summer. This is the live video here, and as I said before, I'm going to do it from my laptop because it's hard for me to share from my phone. I tried the bandwidth, and because that's a Wi-Fi connection, if I was to do it, it really slowed it down a ton. So I'm just going to give you a version here. And I wanted to point this out as these things are evolving. This is something new. Facebook, with their new adjustments with their Facebook Live, you'll see it's. I'm a big Chrome user, and it says if you want to use Chrome, you got to switch to the beta version, which has everything current that works with Facebook Live, and you could do that, or you could switch over to Firefox. I'm going to switch over to Firefox, and let me switch this again. Bear with me, and let me find the right window. There. Nope, it's the wrong one. There's the right window. So now I've switched over to Firefox, and you can see I'm in my. I'm just going to refresh the screen here. I'm in my profile, and if I was to go to my profile, sorry, I wasn't in my profile. If I go to my profile, you see where I'm circling with my mouse here? Can you see where I'm circling with my mouse where it says live video? Just put a 1 in the chat box if you can see that. Okay, I'm going to do this really quick. You hit live video. Wait for the screen to load up. And basically when that loads up, on your phone, you can add additional people and things like that. By the way, when you hit that, you're not live yet. You're starting the process. You can see here where you can pick your cameras and your microphones and all that. If you have multiples, this will become something important. If you just have one, you're probably not going to need to change that. As I scroll down, you'll see there's a camera issue. And so if I hit retry, this happened last night too. How did I fix that? Let me refresh it again. It was in that original screen. Sorry about that. I hope that pops back up again. I was supposed to switch to the second camera. There we go. I got to switch to that camera, allow. And you're going to see in a second, it's slow, but it's actually now got the camera. You can't quite see it yet because it's still loading. But share to public timeline, you can do various things here with this. Due to the slowness here, it's going to be hard for me to, come on, baby. It hasn't quite, I'm not sure why. Anyway, you shouldn't have a problem finding the camera. I apologize for this. I figured it out last night, and I'm not sure why I still don't have that dialed in. But anyway, when you have it right, if you see down here where it's grayed out, it says go live. Once you have your camera and everything figured out, you click go live, and then you'll come back to the Facebook thing and you'll see your face, and then you'll be live. You'll see a red live little icon up in the left-hand corner, and now you're live, and you'll stay live until and while you stay on. I'm going to be doing more stuff on this topic as more time goes on and more questions. Out of all the different tools that you saw today, which one, if you're going to be a Zoom user yourself, this is if you're going to use it, or you put a 1 in if you're going to be a Zoom user, Put a 2 in if you're going to be a Google Hangouts user as your preference, and put a 3 in if you're going to be a Facebook Live user. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. I love that answer. I love, and I know we're all going to have the thing that we're comfortable with. I'm going to encourage you all to be 1s, 2s, and 3s. Get comfortable with all of them so that when a client says, I'm comfortable with this, you can meet them where they prefer to do it. And take the time to learn. And if you want more training on this topic where we dig in more depth on maybe just how to do a Zoom or just how to do a Google Hangout, and where I'm doing it live, maybe walking through a property or something like that, and you'd like more of that, give me a 5 if you would like more. If you think a training like that would be something you would be interested in, put a 5 in the chat box here just to give me some feedback on that. I'm getting some 5s. Okay. More 5s. Okay, perfect. Well, I will take that as probably something that enough of you are interested in, so I will definitely do that. So here's my email again. I would really appreciate any feedback, any topics that you specifically would like covered, whether it's what we talked about today, or if you want to talk about more specific things on anything virtual or just lead generation or how to convert leads. Can you send me an email with some feedback? I'd really appreciate it. My email is Pierre, P-I-E-R-R-E, at mbuzz.com. That's Pierre at mbuzz.com. I'll type it into the chat box here so you have it. Oops, second. And there is that. And that is basically it. I really, really appreciate if you would just take a couple of minutes after this webinar is wrapped up to send me some feedback and topics that you'd like me to cover. And then I'll definitely start creating the content for that next webinar. And then when things come back to normal, we'll do a little bit of both. I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for being here. I hope you got a lot of benefit out of your time today. And I just wanted to wish you all a super healthy and happy rest of your week. And please, please, please stay healthy. All right, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. You're all welcome. Thank you so much. I appreciate the feedback. I'm glad I took it a glance over. It was really great. Thanks so much.